We'll be live here in a minute, Drew.
Oh, take your time.
I'm just waiting for YouTube to show me that. Okay. Now we are. And it'll be interesting to see how many people show up, because I know a lot of people have started streaming during this time, which is a good thing. Gives people a variety of things to watch.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll have a few people in here. If not, hey, we'll just chat and get work done.
Yeah, either way, work done is optimal. I just want to get this issue of Vampirella done so I can work on this war story thing. I have a possible gig that may actually last the entire year. But it's like a side gig in the sense that it's not for comics.
Right.
But it has a regular paycheck attached to it. So it's going to allow me to do comics without having to worry about this whole delay.
Right.
I hope it doesn't fall through, knock on wood. But if it does, it does. And I don't know. I'll move on. It's not that big a deal. Well,
and it's probably not the first thing. I've had those too, where something's promised to me, and then it's like, after you don't hear from someone in a while, you contact them back, and you're like, that got shelved. It's like, well, thanks for letting me know. I just thought they were having meetings or something.
Well, that is true. That happens a lot, more than it should.
Yeah, I will say one thing. A lot of comic gigs don't fall through. They are, once they're pretty much promised. I don't think I've ever had a comic gig pulled like that, like a commercial gig.
Yeah, I don't think I have either. I think once money is invested and people are involved, it's like, well, this is going to happen.
Right.
Like, no matter what, even if we're going to find somebody else to do it, it's got to happen this time. That's how I usually get jobs. I'm usually the guy they call because somebody messes up, which isn't the most optimal thing,
right?
Because a lot of times it means sleepless nights for me. But I'm lucky I haven't gotten pigeonholed into that.
Yeah, no, that's something I always avoided.
You get pigeonholed as the
go-to
guy, the guy who puts out fires. You're like the fireman.
Yeah. And then you don't establish yourself as like a regular guy,
You're right. And
you're just like although I think it's more valuable on a baseball team, but the analogy is like you become the pinch hitter or whatever, but you don't want to be that in comics.
No, because that's all you'll get. And that's the most stressful job, is being the guy who has to make up time for someone else messing up.
Yep.
And a lot of times, like, even if you're taking over a book because of something like that, there's already like a set style established too.
Yeah. Yep.
So you're like, I got to draw like this guy, at least not at the beginning, and then you can kind of go into your own if it's multiple issues. But you don't have to do that. You can just draw the way you want to. But it's just an easier transition for fans. Because I have had people go, this guy doesn't draw anything like the other guy.
I see little John jumped in. I'm going to remember his name now, so he can't surprise me. His screen name.
Yes, John is wonderful. He's one of my favorite people.
Him and Pat are good people.
Yes, they are. Comics people, man, I'm telling you. I had an interesting thing happen to me after my.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, like, that guy just did that through Messenger, right?
Yeah, and then through my Facebook page, not my profile. The artist page.
Right.
So I have no idea who this person is, like at all. I've never met him, seen him. He's not a Facebook friend. Zero interaction. I get back from my skateboarding / walk, and I lay on the bed and I hear ding, and I'm like, oh, I got a message. So I look at it, and it just says, "Hey, are you from the Hampton Roads area? Are you a comic artist from the Hampton Roads area?" I believe it said. Then it said, "Text me," and then it was his name and a number. And I was like, well, first of all, I don't know if I have the time to do anything for you because you sound like, well, I think in there it said, I need a sketch ASAP, which no one needs a sketch ASAP. If you're a company, you need stuff. But if you're just a person, there's nothing you need ASAP. So I was like, well, I may not have the time because I just kind of want to let him know, like, I don't know, you don't dictate what I do. So I just said, hey man, I don't think I have the time. And he was like, the time? Well, that's the way I heard it. I read it.
No, I get it.
It was the time ? Which to me means you're emphasizing something. And I didn't know if he was just being funny or he just really didn't understand what the concept of time is. So I just said, I'm really busy. And then he went into this whole thing about how he's been trying to get an artist to draw this thing and how they always fall through.
I thought you were going to use another F word there.
Oh no! And I kept thinking like it's because you come off really aggressive and it kind of sucks. So I was just like, well, man, that's if people are falling through, I just assumed at that point that whatever you want must be like really complex.
Or there's some people you just can't please, no matter what,
Yeah, and he's probably one of those people. So I just said, hey, man, it sounds like it's really complex. So, I definitely don't have the time for it. And he's like, complex? No, it's not complex. I just need someone to sit down with me. And, I tell them what to draw, and then they draw it, and then I pay you. What's so hard about that? So at that point, I was like, oh, this guy sucks, right? So I wouldn't do anything with him regardless. And then he's like, well, do you know anybody else? And in my head, I would never subject a friend of mine.
Oh, you should have sent him my way, Drew.
To this type of behavior.
That's the people I go like, well, it would, you're looking at $5,000 to start.
Yeah, I can only imagine if I gave him my rates, he would have been like, are you kidding me? Well, you just draw, man. Like, I could feel him saying something like that, like the audacity. One, he didn't even know who I was, to be honest. Like if I'm gonna hire somebody, I would at least know what they do.
Right.
So I was just like, so I thought I'd end it quickly. I was just like, hey, I don't know anybody else's schedules. And he's like, no, but like temporary or permanently. And I was like, what does that mean? So I was just like, either way, I don't know anybody. Have a good day. That's all I said. And when you say have a good day, that means the conversation is over.
Or so you'd think.
So he messaged something about that's like a cop saying he doesn't know another cop. What the F? And I was like, I didn't say anything because I was like, the conversation is over for me.
Right.
And then he goes, that's it. Just wasted time on another lazy ass artist. And like he goes on this little tirade. So I started laughing. And my wife, first I was mad, and my wife was like, why? This guy doesn't mean shit. Like, who cares? And I was like, you're right. But then I looked at what he said, and I was like, he's not done. And my wife was like, what? I was like, wait for it. And then he's like, pathetic. And I was like, boom, yeah, right in my face. I was like, that's awesome. I was like, I knew he wasn't done. So then I blocked him because I was like, I forgot to say this though because I was waiting for him so I could be like, I said good day, sir.
Yeah.
and then like block him, but I didn't get to do that because I was just so excited to block him. But I shared it on Twitter and Facebook.
Yeah,
I
no,
blurred his name out because I'm not trying to get anybody like harassed or
right.
So the response on Twitter and Facebook are still and was overwhelming. Oh my God. I've never had people actually interact so much and so many funny things to say. Some things are pretty mean. I'm not going to repeat those things, but some of them were like creatively funny. I think Andy Kuhn said, well, he seems nice.
Yeah.
It hit me right, man. It hit me right. I was laughing probably for a good 5 minutes. I was like, yeah. I was like, we're besties now.
He's an enjoyable person to have a chat with.
Yeah, it's like, geez. I mean, when man, like, the sad thing is he was local to me.
Yeah, that may not be sad. That might be something you better watch out for.
I saw a picture of him. I'm fine. The only reason I checked his Facebook profile out, which you couldn't really see because he has like everything blocked unless you're his friend, and I am definitely not his friend. It's pretty disrespectful stuff, like a lot of middle fingers, and I was just like, oh, this guy's a Cro-Magnon. I don't know what's going on. So
you have all the fun.
I do. I tell people about these stories, like the guy who said he was going to kill himself and then asked me to get him a job. I have these things happen to me all the time. And I tell Mark Deering, because, he's a close friend. He lives near me. And he's like, I can't believe this stuff. And so I send him pictures. I'm like, here's a screenshot of this crazy person. And he goes, oh my God. He's like, you weren't joking. I was like, no, dude, I can't make this stuff up.
Right.
Like the things, the threats, the how mean people are to me. And like every time I'm just like, all right, buddy. Like I almost forgot that I just don't care what you say. And you're done with, I'm done with you. And like I move on and it's another story I get to tell.
Oh boy. Daytona Beach. I don't know the number, but let me just check because who knows? It could be school or something, but I doubt that.
Okay. So lesson to everybody out there, just be nice. Man, that's all. I mean, this could have been like hurtful. If I was a more sensitive person, this could have been pretty, especially with everything that's going on. Like I can see somebody who's like extra sensitive, and that's not a bad thing. And just going on with their day, and then some jerk like that, like makes them feel less than, or even just makes them feel bad or mad, more likely mad, and like why? It's total stranger. Like why would you do that to somebody? I don't understand. Like, why complicate someone's life like that?
Yeah, I'm back. That was actually that was my son's pediatric, and it's weird that it didn't come up as it, but they were just saying that they're not taking like kids unless it's for vaccinations or something else.
Yeah, that makes sense. So,
yeah. But, your kid gets sick. What are you supposed to do? It's like a bad thing.
Yeah, I have. I just used the doctor. Well, not. It's called Live Health.
Right.
Just do it over the phone, and they use the camera like we're doing.
Oh yeah.
I've already done it a few times. Not since this happened, but like in January when I had the upper respiratory infection with bronchitis. Yeah, I just did that over the Live Health, and it cost me $10. It's no big deal.
I just use Ron.
Oh yeah, I wish.
I'm like, Ron, what's wrong with me?
Yeah.
He goes,
okay, he can prescribe stuff too, can't he?
Yes. He can't prescribe like my anxiety medication.
No, but you're like antibiotics if you're
like a Z-Pack. If I feel I got a cold, he can, I would not ask him to prescribe anything.
Oh, of course not. Of course not. I don't take pain medication anyway, even when they do prescribe it. So I always tell doctors, I was like, don't even bother filling that out because I don't take it.
You just take it as a general rule, or
I take like ibuprofen or something, and most of the time the pain medication is like Tylenol with codeine,
right?
And it makes me so fuzzy. I like you know me, man. Like I'm constantly wanting to like work and produce, and I can't do it on that stuff. I don't like the way it makes my head feel. It's why I don't smoke weed anymore. It's not that I didn't like it. I mean, I haven't smoked weed since my son was before my son was born, my first one. So it's been 17 years. Just because I know how I get on that stuff, and I am not productive. I am not. Everything's funny. And I don't know. I just don't fire as fast, And that's just me. I know people who can function totally fine on it. But I can't. So I'm the same way with really hard like pain medication. It just takes my motivation away, and everything's like cloudy. So I just avoid it. I mean, it can only hurt so bad.
I usually take, like when I'm doing a show, I do like a preemptive. I take either 2 Aleve or 2 Advil in the morning before I go over.
I do the same thing.
But when I'm done with the show, well, even on the flight back, I'll probably, take some just because I'm thinking that I'm going to get some back pain. So I'm figuring start it now before I feel the pain. So it kind of.
You don't want to adjust your normal movements because you're starting to feel pain, because then you hurt something else. Yeah. And it's not like you're taking an overdose of it.
No. No, just 2 a.m. before the show, and then when the show's over, I come back home and I don't take any unless I actually really, really need them.
Yeah.
For a show, it really is. It's like what do you call it? Just help me with the word. Somebody out there. Let me say, good morning, Ron. Good morning, Lloyd.
Is it a placebo? Like just makes you feel better? Or?
I don't know. I don't know, because when I take it, it starts to, I mean, I've still had back pain even when I take it. It shows.
It just takes the edge off.
Yeah, it might make it less, painful, which is not a good thing, because then you might be really twisting your back, and then when it wears off, you really notice what you did.
Yeah, I've been lucky. It's usually not the back pain with me. I'll get like random pains. Which isn't good. Like, a lot of it's from the skateboarding, like with my legs, my ankles, especially. So I'll take it just so I don't have to, like when I get up, like I'll feel this extreme stiffness and pain in my ankles.
And you're walking like Frankenstein.
Yeah, just for like a couple minutes, So if I have painkillers and I know. Like I said, I probably won't take it before the show. Sometimes I do because it's in the morning. Right. In the morning, I'm the stiffest I am ever.
Yeah.
So if I don't take it in the morning, I will take it around like the end of the show before we leave. Because, it avoids that whole, like my ankles are not great. I mean, they're all right once I get moving, but like the initial stiffness sucks. I will say the skateboarding makes my legs feel better because the circulation thing about sitting down for 14 hours at a time. Um, I don't know. It was fun. I'm thinking about uh, getting a new setup. Um, I told my wife, I was like, I might just get a new setup, more on the cruiser side. I don't like longboards because longboards don't have proper tails. Um, and I don't know, it's just what I like. And I kind of feel bad because I used to make fun of longboarders when I was a kid.
Right.
And I feel like I would be a hypocrite. I mean, I really we used to just tear those guys apart. There wasn't a lot of them back then. But now, anyway, and I can ride a regular skateboard. My son and his girlfriend were very much like, wow, he still look because there's no balance issues or anything. I just jump on it and go. It's like something like riding a bike. It just there's no hesitancy because your body's like, oh yeah, I remember this. When you do it for 15 years, you definitely don't. It doesn't go away.
Little John says it sounds like when he takes Benadryl. I guess that's the fogginess and stuff.
Yeah, Benadryl does that to me. I can't take any allergy medicine. Benadryl, Claritin, Zyrtec, even if it's non-drowsy, it makes me super sleepy. My wife is like, but it's non-drowsy, and it doesn't matter.
Psychological.
No, it's not psychological. My whole body is done. She said that too, and I was like, well, if it was psychological, then why can't I move? Because
your brain is very powerful.
Yeah, I really want to, and I want to do stuff. So yeah, the Benadryl's the worst. That stuff will put me on my ass bad.
So when you need to sleep, you know what to take.
It would put me right out.
Actually, that's what my sister's husband does. Is he takes a Benadryl at night to sleep.
Yeah, I mean, it's like my whole body just goes, oh, I didn't know you wanted to be passed out. Why did you say so? And
why didn't you just go drink a fifth of scotch or something?
Oh man, I have so much bourbon, John. And scotch. I only have a few bottles of scotch. I think I have one.
I don't think I ever
4 bottles of scotch.
I don't think I ever drank scotch.
It's okay. It matters where you get it from. It's named after the regions it's from. The Islay. Oh God, I'm blanking. But there's different regions of Scotland. Each region tastes different, and generally, if it's in the same region, it tastes similar. It has the same notes. But some may be stronger than others, and it matters what kind of barrels it's in and how long it sits. But if it's from Islay, other Islay scotches are going to taste similar. They just may not have as much peat, or maybe more floral, or smokier, and it's. I prefer the bourbon. Actually, I prefer bourbons and ryes. I love ryes. Ryes are my jam. And I
think I'd heard that rye is one of the most poisonous drinks for your body, though.
Is it? It's delicious.
Well, maybe that's why.
It is delicious. But I'm a big fan of ryes and then bourbons.
Or is it gin? Maybe it was gin. I don't know.
I like a good gin.
Well, it's all poison for your body, I guess.
Yeah, it is. Gin and tonic is wonderful. It's old ladies' drink. I get it, but it's delicious. I had a funny, and I guess it was just funny because it had been decades, I think. We were at some show. I think it was the Colorado Springs show a couple years back, and the little guy that was that played on Buck Rogers with Gil Gerard. I can't remember his name. Hervé Villachez?
No.
The beady, yeah, guy.
No. Hey, ALD. Little John says he found some new stuff called XYZL for allergies. It seems to work better during the day.
XYZ.
But it's
I'll try
Advil
it.
allergy for me if I have to work. Okay, so and he says rye is good. No, it was the little guy and Buck Rogers, and he was, him and Gil would kind of, do like the Zek and me thing, But anyway, so we're in the restaurant bar area, and he comes in, and we're sitting there, and a couple of people know him, and I guess Mike kind of knew him, and we said hello to him and stuff, and hey, you want to sit over here? And he's like, yeah. He comes over, and so the waitress comes over and asks him, can I get you something? And when he ordered this, the first thing that hit me was it took me back all the way to high school, a screwdriver.
Oh, wow.
And I was just like,
Yeah.
I had literally forgotten about screwdrivers. I'm like, that's like vodka and orange juice, right?
Yep. Sure.
And I'm like, that was like high school drinking.
Yeah.
It just cracked me up, but I guess people still order screwdrivers.
My wife has a screwdriver occasionally.
Yeah, no, it just, you know what I mean? No, it was one of those things where it totally.
Yeah, it's a fruity drink, so it's easy to drink, and that's dangerous. I always say the easy to drink ones are the dangerous ones. Oh, this tastes like Kool-Aid. Oh, you're in for a ride tonight. You think it's Kool-Aid, so
it was like my experience with this slow gin fizz when I was like 13 or 14.
Oh, gin fizz is dangerous because of the carbonation that goes right into your bloodstream. Is what they say.
I tell you, I know I discussed this before, and I think you were here, but I downed about 4 or 5 of them, and all of a sudden my chest was getting super tight.
Yeah, it's dangerous. Well, I mean, alcohol, like, there's people who can drink, and then there's people who can't. Like, I used to be a guy who couldn't because I was always in it to win it. Like, it was like it's a competition or something. And only people competing like is me. That's when you don't drink because, it's not a competition. No. It is far furthest from. So, now I drink actually for the taste of it. Like, I'm not really the buzz. I don't get many buzzes anymore.
Your tolerance is up.
Well, that, and I know when to stop. Like, my body.
That's it. You have one drink and you're good.
At 1, 2, and even if I have more, I know when my body's like, yeah, you know what, dude, you're good, and I can move on. Like, there's no shame in my game, so to speak. Like, some people are like, what, are you done? And then, yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Like, I already said that. We don't have to talk about it anymore. I said I was done. Because peer pressure, man, it used to work, but God, it's such a turnoff now. And people start trying to peer pressure. You're like, God, like I know this feeling, and I remember how I don't like it. But now I'm confident enough to be like, hey, guy, not 8th grade anymore. You can stop. We're good.
we're not gonna see who throws up first.
Yeah, you know what? If you want to win, you won. So, like, if this is your goal, then man, good for you, buddy. I had a friend at a birthday party. He offered me like some kind of just vape weed, the THC. And I was like, I don't do that anymore, man. He goes, well, you're not really smoking. It's just vape. I was like, wow, that's crazy that you're still explaining it. So,
right.
Like I said before, I don't want it. So, thank you, but no thank you. And, I was like, yeah, I'm not judging you, dude. Because that's what I kind of felt like he was implying. I was like, dude, go ahead. I don't care. I just not me, man. It's good. And we can still hang out and laugh and have a good time. That's how social interactions work. Like, you can do things that I don't do, and we can still have a good time together.
Right.
But he was from a high school friend. So he was kind of turned off by the whole thing because he thought I was gonna be like, I don't know, down.
Well, maybe that was the old Drew he remembered.
It
right?
is because we hadn't seen each other really since then.
And you've kind of grown up, and he's still back in 8th grade or whatever.
Yeah, well, yeah, I was just telling him. I told him, I was like, dude, I'm not trying to like make you feel awkward in front of people, like if that's what you're thinking. And he looked at me and goes, well, no, I just thought we could have a good time. I was like, yeah, I know, man. It's no big deal. I'm still having a good time. I was like, are you having a good time? He was like, yeah. I was like, well, then we're good. So
Little John just came in with he was played by Felix Sela.
Sela? No.
Twicky.
Oh, Twiggy. A beady. Yeah,
voiced by Mel Blanc.
I used to love that show. Does anybody else ever remember the cruise ship season where it was like a space cruise ship? It felt like Love Boat in space with Buck Rogers. Or am I the only one who am I imagining that happened?
I never watched it. So
yeah, I was a little kid, but I loved it.
I think that was in the 80s, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I was in my 20s, and I was kind of not really. I was doing my Miami Vice.
You're too cool for school, is what you're telling me.
That's what I'm saying, in not too many words.
I was 7, I think.
Oh, they see, perfect age for you. Then.
It was. I was like, go Buck Rogers, go. Gil Gerard, you're the man. I had a little crush on Wilma.
Gil's he's a fun guy. Or at least that was my experience when Zach and I got stranded 6 hours
Gil Gerard.
at the airport with him.
I mean, why wouldn't he be? Well, no, that's not true. There's a lot of people who aren't fun to be around, who are famous. So I remember asking this. Well, the guy from he wasn't not fun. He was just very matter of fact. The guy from Cobra, the guy who plays the antagonist, the guy with the knife. He was also in Xena. He's in tons of things. I met him at MegaCon on a bench because I was waiting for my wife to pick me up, and he was sitting there eating a sandwich. It was a tuna fish sandwich, or was it chicken salad sandwich? Is what it was.
Probably from the green room.
Well, and I remember the chicken salad sandwich thing because I was like, "Hey, you're in Cobra. I loved you, dude. You're awesome." And I was like, "What are you doing now?" Is what I said. And he goes, eating a chicken salad sandwich. And I was like, fair enough. And then he just sat there eating his sandwich. He never even that was it.
Yeah.
I was like,
it's like, really? I mean, I can see that.
To be honest, I was really rude. I just blurted out of nowhere. And also saying, what are you doing now? When he's probably a working actor. And I'm just like, hey, guy I never see, what are you doing now? And
hey, I'll tell you who a sweetheart is. Is the I've seen her at like 2 shows now. She remembered me. I saw her at the beginning of this year. Actually, it was the first show in March. My last show, the Fayetteville, Arkansas. The lady that played Nellie Olson.
Who?
The lady that played Nellie Olson from
Little House on the Prairie or something?
Yes.
Yeah.
She's a sweetheart.
That's the blonde lady, right?
Yeah, and she's the one that played the
she's kind of bratty.
Yeah, because her father owned the store and they were the rich family.
I remember that.
And boy, I told her, I said, when I watched that show, I said, I couldn't stand you. I said, so I want to congratulate you on a really good job doing your part.
I couldn't stand her either.
But you know what? She takes that as a compliment because I told her too. I said, you did a wonderful job. And she's like, well, thank you. I mean, she was really sincere. She wasn't offended. And she goes, I love when people tell me that because then it does. I did do my job right. She goes, I was not supposed to be likable. And I said, well, you nailed it, and she goes, now, the weird thing is people still come up to me and expect me to be that person.
Oh, yeah, that's ridiculous.
That's what I thought. I'm like, wow, how could, you're playing a part, but, she nailed it so good. They expect it.
To be fair, some of those people are probably little kids when that show was on, and when you get an impression of just a person, and like those people who were children when that show was on,
yeah,
their idea of a bratty, entitled person, her face probably pops up first,
right?
So like, I'm not saying it's right, but I can see where psychologically you're just conditioned to be like, oh yeah, if you're thinking of a bratty lady, then that's it right there.
Yeah. And I'm sure that's why she still gets it, because, the people that grew up, they still see her as Nellie Olson, not as just an actress.
Yeah. It's sad. I'm still separate people from that. Like I was even as a kid, my mom being very realistic Korean lady, she is very open about what's not really real. Like with Christmas and all that stuff, like that was crushed at a very early age. It was very, very early.
I hope my son's not listening.
No, that's why I didn't say what about those things crushed me, because my son is sleeping. But yeah, they crushed me on those things pretty early.
I think my son is still asleep too. They were up late. And I looked at the homework, and it's due on the 5th, which is Sunday, that he's got to do. It's not much. It's like I think the total amount of time is like 4 hours or 2 hours.
Yeah. Well, you got to remember, some of that time is spent teaching for them. But either way, it's not as much. Like with my son, we already finished everything, unless something happens this week, because they're still going to observe spring break. So during spring break, they're not going to get anything assigned.
Oh, that's hysterical, because my son has spring break coming up too. Plus, they have an Easter break too, right?
Yeah. So, and we've taken care of all his stuff. Like he had a science project due.
Yeah, you had mentioned that.
And I mean, it's a diorama. It has like 3D elements, and like we helped him, of course. But like, I was really surprised that was something he had to do, being like not in school. But we had to take pictures of it and post it and sign this thing PDF that says that we didn't do it for him, that like we could help him, but we didn't do it for him, which we didn't do it for him. He did it. I may have drawn some of the fish and stuff, but I don't feel like that's a grade down. I'm an artist. Like if I'm going to help my son, I'm not going to half-ass it. So hopefully she doesn't say something about that.
She's listening to this stream right now.
Yeah.
I thought that looked awful good for a second grader.
Yeah, it looked way too good for a second grader. I'll tell you that much right now. But still, like I said, I feel like we should be allowed to help him.
I think all parents wind up doing more on those projects than, it's in most people's nature to do it.
Well, that, and like we talk about it, like when we're doing the fish, what kind of fish is this? And they'll be like, that's a clownfish. And I'm like, yeah, because you wanted one. But like, where does a clownfish live? And then we'll talk about that. And we'll talk about like the habitat. So it's not like it's for nothing. We're actually like discussing like everything that's in the project. So I don't see a problem with it. I figure like the whole point is learning. Especially since he's getting zero guidance from the teacher other than getting the assignment.
Yeah.
Like he had to get this thing on a rainforest. I'm like, how is he supposed to know what like carnivores and omnivores and herbivores and the feel of the environment? He doesn't even know where South America is. So I feel like we're allowed to kind of help because they need direction.
I think right now, whatever deviation you want to do, it might help your kids. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, and I'm very hands-on with my son. Like he just wants to answer the question and move on, and I'm not letting him do that. I'm very much like, well, let's talk about it. Why is a square also a rectangle, but a rectangle can't be a square? Let's talk about that. I was like, that's true, but why is that true? And then we talk about it. And hopefully, and then I'm like, do you understand? And I was like, now repeat it to me. Yeah, so I do that, and he probably does. He'll appreciate it when he gets older, I think. But right now, he is not liking it, I don't think.
Well, the thing that happened is they had too much time without, them finally saying, hey, we're going to do online school or whatever, homeschool. They had like an extra week or so of just nothing.
Yeah.
Or at least that's how it was here before they decided, oh, you know what? We're going to do it on the internet, or if you want, we can print out the assignments and send them to your house.
Yeah, we had about 2 days before they decided. We had a Saturday and a Sunday, and on Sunday they released packets, and they said, if you don't have access to online stuff, you have to do these packets, and you can download them and print them out. If you do have access to online stuff, you're going to have classes. And they did an online survey before they even closed anything down, like a week before it happened. We all got a phone call, and it just said, hey, do you have access to online resources for if we had to do teaching at home? And you press 1 for yes and 2 for no. And then 98% of this area had access. Students had access. So they were like, this is the deal. So yeah, they were already prepared for everything, which is good. Like, I'm actually pretty impressed with that, because I was like, this is going to be a train wreck. And it wasn't, actually. But they only planned to be out 2 weeks. And now it's all year. And then they came out with another plan like 2 days after they announced it was all year. And they're just going to continue the course. And they're like, the packets, unless you don't have access to online stuff,
the packets will never stop coming.
Well, they just said it doesn't matter. They don't.
That would be my kids. That would be my son's worst nightmare. Jacob, the packets are gonna keep coming nonstop. There is no summer vacation.
And they haven't given us the option of like pass fail type thing. Like, if you want to hold your own kid back, they haven't even. That's not even an option.
That was one of the first things that they mentioned here was like, we'll let the parent decide. And I'm like, why what parent is going to hold their kid back? I mean, most parents are just like, move along, Yeah,
well, the problem with that is if a bunch of people say no, we're going to hold our kid back, that really screws up the student count, because the kids that are naturally going to go forward, and now there's twice as many kids in one grade that should be there. They don't have enough teachers for that.
No, like I said, I was, Friday, the whole weekend came. Volusia County, where I live, is still just go about your business, and we've had a increase in the people that are positive now for coronavirus, and we had our first deaths over the weekend. And then they were talking about it on the little bit of news that, because my mom keeps it on, so I'm overhearing this, that, well, the governor doesn't want to punish these counties that have no evidence of it, because they're still, they still have an economy, they're still up and working and stuff. And I mentioned that to Ron, and Ron's like, well, that's all well and good, but those smaller counties don't have hospitals prepared for if and when somebody gets it. They'll have to go to a bigger city or county. And so the smaller counties that aren't getting shut down or anything, it's, it's gonna just become a big mess. And
well, not only that, like if they don't quarantine or do anything, then it just resets the clock for everyone.
well, that was my point. When I was talking to Ron, I thought about it, and I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, the Orlando area, Orange County, they're under mandatory. Osceola, which is out in Kissimmee and the Disney area, they're under mandatory. So between me and Orange County is Seminole County. They're not. So people coming, once they do their 14 days, if they come into Volusia, they're coming into a county where
it's hot.
Yeah, it's very hot. And so, there's not going to be a cop stopping them saying like, oh, no, you can't come in here, because they don't know where people are coming from or going. Yeah. You literally have to close down the state for 2 weeks. Everybody has to get on board and just, and the thing about flying from hot spots too, like people coming down from New York. I mean, look, I realize there's people that have retirement homes here and they want to come here where instead get out of New York.
Yeah, but it's already too late for that, isn't it?
It is. And I'm thinking the people that have already been mandatory quarantined, when we get it, it's like you said, it's going to restart the whole clock thing, and it's gonna piss a lot of people off.
Well, I've been in quarantine myself for 18 days, and it doesn't matter. Like I told my wife,
we're okay. We're used to being.
Well, I mean, it's just a restart. I still can't go out because nobody here is quarantined themselves.
Right.
So, like, it's. I mean, the bases have all, because I have I think there's 6 military bases here. They've all locked down. Nobody in and out unless you are essential personnel, and if you live on them, it's like you can't, like, they check you. Like you can't go in and out like freely. So the bases are locked down. They don't care what the city does. They're locking down, regardless of what people feel. The city they closed the beaches yesterday because all these people were going swimming and crowding the beaches, and they didn't close them before because they felt like people were smarter than that and they wouldn't do it like they did in Florida.
Yeah.
But
let's go to the beach, and then everyone's on the beach.
It was like 80 degrees yesterday.
Right.
So everybody decided to go to the beach. There's people on Facebook posting pictures. We didn't go to that beach because it was so crowded, so we went to this beach. And you're just like, you guys are dickheads. Like now you've started my clock over again. This is great, you sons of bitches.
It's true.
Later that afternoon, not even like 2 hours later, there was an announcement that they were closing all the beaches. Like of course they were. They should have been closed before, but they were nice and thought that people here wouldn't do that. And of course they did. They were like, who cares? It's hot. So let's go to the beach. And I feel for, like, I get it. No one wants their freedom taken away. You think I want to sit inside it like every day for almost 3 weeks? No. But I have an immune compromised system, and it's just safer for me and other people if I do.
Right. No, I totally get that.
I mean, even when
you're being responsible, it's like
when I was 16 when this 16 when this happened, even the doctor, and this is the worst thing you could ever say to a 16-year-old. He's like, just think of yourself as like a 69-year-old. Like, your system is like that.
You can't wrap your head around that at 16.
I was like, what? He's like, yeah, you're going to get sick all the time. So that's like your life from now on. I was like, wow. That I went through a little bit of depression because of that. Like, it really hit me. I was just like, this sucks. Like, my life is not cool anymore.
Is that all just because of the spleen thing?
Yeah, because it's half your immune system.
I didn't know it was that.
Yeah, the only place I get my immunities from is my bone marrow at this point. Like your spleen filters your blood.
Yeah.
It's like one of the biggest things that filter your blood. It's now gone. And it also it's where you store your white blood cells. And I don't have that anymore. And I haven't had it. I haven't had a spleen longer than I've had one. Because I lost, you know what I'm saying? I'm 44. I lost my spleen when I was 16. So
Wow.
It was hard to hear. Like, I get infections really easy, like and like even infections like boils or like if I get cuts. I mean, they always get infected.
I had a couple of boils, like, I can't remember, and I just remember they were like not fun.
No, I had one turn black on me, which was scary.
I always, like, I was the kid that some other kids were getting boils, and I always thought, ooh, that's cool, because they would have this.
Oh, it's not cool.
Well, I mean, when you're young, and people talk about there's a head in it, and they got to pop it, and like
it just spews, and
yeah. So when you're 13, 14, you think, ooh, that's cool. I want to get a boil, and boy, I got one, and
then the fevers and the tight skin and all that
stuff. When it finally pops and the heads come out, and they're like,
it's gross. Yeah, it's gross.
It is. I
will say it feels good.
Once it finally, that
tightness around the skin is
tender.
Yeah, it's something else. I had one on my inner thigh once.
Ooh. That's tender skin to begin with.
I actually took off of work, which is really hard to do in the restaurant industry because everybody's got to be a dickhead about people taking off. I was walking down the hallway of the apartment I lived in, and all of a sudden I just felt my leg was wet.
And you knew it.
And then I looked down, and you could just, like, it was black. Like, it wasn't even blood anymore. It was just black goo. Black goo first, then pus, and then clear stuff, and then just a lot of blood. Like, it just kept coming. And I had like a hole the size of almost a dime, I'd say.
Yep. I had the same thing. And it freaked me out that I had a hole in my skin.
And you could see everything under it, too.
Yeah, I could put my finger in it.
Well, I didn't do that, but yes, you could. I was scared.
I was like, how is this going to heal? What do I do?
It did heal eventually.
Yeah, no, they do. It's just, you don't know what's going to happen because it's suddenly, it's not like a pimple you pop and it's just like, little divot and it goes away. This thing was deep.
Yeah, I have a cyst also in my neck that I wanted to get surgically removed, and the doctor was like, well, we can do it.
Was that one of the ones like Dr. Pimple Popper gets going? That they have so much stuff inside of them?
Yeah, it's like that, but it's on the back. It's still there. It's on the back of my neck.
Yeah.
So sometimes it'll flare, and I can't turn my head. But I can keep my head straight, so I still work. It hurts super bad. Like, it'll throb. But I went to go get it taken out, and the doctor was like, well, I can take it out, but it's probably just going to come back. But that's all he said. He's like, I can cut it. I had somebody try and remove it with local anesthesia.
Yeah.
And that hurt so bad that my legs started shaking violently. And I started laughing like the Joker because apparently when I'm in extreme pain, I laugh. And that freaked the nurse out really bad. And the doctor was like, oh, he's a laugher.
Yeah.
I was like, and he's like, he explained to her, he's like, some people cry and some people laugh. He's a laugher. So when he hurts, he laughs, which is true because my first tattoo, I laughed for like half an hour straight. He was like, do you want me to stop? I was like, hell no. Like, you're already in there, buddy.
Yeah.
Like, go do whatever you got to do. I mean, he had like my neck open, with force like the spreaders, and he had the forceps in there, and I couldn't see it, but I saw the tools, and I was just like, God, I mean, dude, like we've committed to this. Like he's like, because he kept giving me pain medication, like shots,
Right.
but he said it was going through my system so fast because it hurt, so my adrenaline was pumping, so it was just like he'd give it to me, it would numb me for like 5 seconds, and then it wouldn't anymore. So he wanted to stop, and I was like, "Are you kidding me? I did not just go through all of this to have you stop." But he didn't get it out. All he was able to do was drain it, all the pus around it and stuff, which was nasty because I could feel it pooling around my neck. It was pretty crazy.
Well, I guess it's more one of those things that it's amazing how much stuff is in it that it just, and oh my gosh, let me tell you this, the smell will knock you out.
Yeah, it smells horrible.
I had this little knot on my chest forever, and it wasn't until I think I was around 41 or so. I got out of the shower and I would, drying off, I'd always feel this little knot, and it finally, it was kind of soft, and I would always push it thinking like there's something in there that needs to come out. And this was before I knew what the technical term was what they were or whatever. And I gave it a squeeze, and a little opening happened, little pus. And I was like, oh, it finally, after like for decades, so I patted myself dry, and I got my fingers like a good grip around it, and I squeezed it, and it was like taking a bottle of toothpaste.
All that cheese.
Yes. And it was very thin. It wasn't like thick, but it just started like, it was like lapping or it was like folding around. It wasn't like squirting out but it was like, just like laying toothpaste on a counter and just stepping on it, but it didn't squirt out. It just came out like a ribbon, I guess is the best. And oh my gosh, the odor it felt so good because that thing had been like so tight, like you said, on my chest forever, and I could never pop it. And finally it came out, but oh man. And then I had a couple more times where I could get, I guess, the remainder out.
Yeah.
And it was still a lot, but it's nasty. I watched Dr. Pimple Popper for a while.
The lady.
Yeah, and then people do their own at home, and they show the same thing.
Yeah. I used to do the gross myself out thing too.
Yeah, and I can't watch those anymore. I'm like, okay, I've seen enough.
Yeah, you can check that off your list.
Yeah. But they even had they'll have the one that's the biggest or something, they're always like on YouTube having the contest of like, okay, we've got this one that we caught on film that has more than any, I
saw one in some Asian country that was pretty big. Like it was the size of a softball.
And then didn't Dr. Pimple Popper, is she one that also, or is it someone else that gets stuff out of ears?
Yeah, she does ears and noses. Yeah.
Like a bug gets down in the ear and it's still alive.
Yeah.
And the person is in such pain, and I don't know if it's because the bug is still holding on to the ear, and she has to kind of rip it out.
Yeah, that's horrible.
This is good comics talk.
There is. People appreciate this, I'm sure.
Well, it's
better than talking about coronaviruses.
It is.
I'm so sick of it.
I'm with you on that.
Like I'm so sick of Tiger King. I watched it, dude. I had to stop halfway through because I was like, this is moronic behavior. Like I feel like I'm getting dumber watching this just because like it's not even entertaining at this point. It's like watching a train wreck.
What was that now?
Tiger King. It's like watching a train wreck, like a real train wreck. So when it happens, you really don't want to see it. Like you're just interested because you've never seen something like that before. But
I don't know what Tiger King is. That's it.
It's on Netflix. It's a documentary about these people who raise and exploit tigers, and it gets pretty crazy. Like there's even an episode where one of the guys kills himself on accident on video.
Oh wow!
Because he has a Ruger, and he thinks a Ruger won't fire if it doesn't have a clip in it, and he didn't realize it had one in the chamber. And he it's not, the camera's not on him. He's on the guy he's talking to. He's actually under the camera, but you see that flash of light, and then you see the guy's face. And he's just he's sitting there. First, he thought he was just fucking around. He just stop playing, and then he realizes that he just blew his brains out in front of you. And then he freaks. And I was like, you know what? This isn't what I want to see. This isn't even entertainment right now. It doesn't entertain me. It actually makes me feel bad. So I had to stop watching it. I mean, does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I was just like, you know what? What am I getting from this? I'm not getting any joy because I feel horrible that now I didn't even know that was going to happen. And now that I saw that, I feel like I don't know, I didn't feel good. That's something I never want to see. I didn't learn anything from it other than, I already knew you don't point guns at your stupid head,
right.
Loaded or not.
Yeah, no.
So I didn't learn anything. So I don't know. I had to turn it off. But then, this is what hit me. I'm such a completionist that it was the second to last episode. So I was like, God, I gotta. I couldn't let myself not finish it. And then when I finished it, I was like, it wasn't worth it. I know people are touting it as oh man, it's just a spectacle. It is, I agree, but it's not really worth your time, man. You don't want to see shit at the beginning. It's very innocent, but then it gets into people hiring people to kill people, and it gets real sad.
Over tigers?
Yes. Thousands. And the one thing I did get from it, which I appreciated, is there was a stat, and I don't know if it's true, but I believe it is, that there are I think it's 10 to 40,000 tigers in captivity in all these camps and zoos, and there's less than 4,000 or something in the wild, or 10,000 in the wild.
Right.
That's sad. That there's 4 times the amount in zoos than there is in the wild. Maybe environments can't handle that many tigers. I don't know, but that seems very lopsided to me.
Yeah, it does.
So that was sad to me. And one of the places was in Virginia. Most of them are in the South, in Florida, South Carolina, and Virginia. I think there's a couple in Oklahoma and Washington State and stuff.
The zoos?
Yeah, well, most of them are, the biggest ones I think are in Florida. So yeah, I think one of them got raided, it said, right after that show was done.
I don't know. The closest zoo I know to where I live is the Sanford Zoo, and
they're not real zoos.
Oh, okay.
They're off the side of the road, the crocodile, the alligator farm.
Oh, right. Okay.
They're those type of deals. Where it doesn't feel 100% safe to be there. The only thing separating you from a half-ton cat is a chain link fence. And you can.
So speaking of TV shows, right? This whole thing we're going through.
Yeah.
I'm not quarantined, but it has an effect on me.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So, my good eating has went to hell in a handbasket. So I sit down with a bowl of ice cream yesterday.
Sure.
I've been indulging a little bit in stuff that I haven't for, and I remember I hadn't watched it yet, but Howard Stern kept talking about it.
What's
he's
that?
kind of obsessed with it. Is My 600-Pound Life.
Oh no, I have no idea what that is. It sounds sad.
Yeah, well, it is. And I got through about the first 10 minutes of an episode with this guy, Dominic, and that was it. I called Ron and I said, oh man, I can't, I'm sitting here with a bowl of ice cream watching this guy and guilt and all that, it's like, I said, I don't even know if I can go back and watch it when I'm not eating ice cream.
Yeah, some of those shows, I don't get the entertainment in it. Like I said, it's like watching a train wreck. Like I don't want to see that. I don't want to see the proverbial bodies. I don't want to see that.
Well, okay, here's my this is my okay. I have a weight problem. I understand that. I fluctuate. I try to control it. I did really good and lost 55 pounds eating clean and eating good, what I'm supposed to. So I kind of know what I need to do to maintain and lose weight and keep it off. But like I said, I'm kind of just on this, what?
It's stressful right now.
It's stressful, and even good food is hard to come by. Like they were talking about produce is, you might be careful buying produce. It may not be that safe.
Yeah, excuse me. I will say we are not eating fast food as much or ordering out as much because of the exposure to people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I cook anyway, but we've been cooking more at home. My wife, she goes to the grocery store at like 6 a.m. when they have when they have meats.
Well, see, you're lucky. Our grocery stores now are not opening till 8.
Yeah, the line. I don't think they open at 6. I think they open at, I don't know what time they open. I know one of ours opens at 7, but she waits in line. She's usually the first in line, and they only let 10 people in at a time.
See, we don't even have that. We've got nothing, Drew. I'm telling you, my county is it's gonna get under a quarantine when there's, and Volusia County in Florida, it's a big county. I don't know if it's the biggest or not, but it's one of the biggest, and it's it's gonna be weird.
Yeah, well, like I said, we have a lot of military here, so we have to be like proactive on anything that deals with a communal disease. Just because we have so many different people.
Hold that thought, Drew. My Junk and Trunk says you guys are very good. Shout out from Junk and Trunk, my Trunk Comics. All right.
Hey.
And Genome is in and says eating ice cream, watching a show like that is beginning an AA meeting with a toast of Jack to the room. All right, David. So, and I thought you'd already done that, Drew.
Well, I did. That person is going to pick it up at Heroes, which if it happens.
Oh, okay.
But another person wanted one, and I was like, "Nah, why not?"
Okay.
Why not? And it's not going to be exactly the same, just because I'm not a machine.
Right.
So I figured, why not? It's less work, as in the sense that I don't have to pencil it again.
Yep.
But the work comes in on how I color and ink it.
Right.
Because it's going to be different. I don't know if I'm going to have the light coming from down like I did the other one. I might have it come from here. So it'll look completely different. I want it to look completely different because I don't want.
Yeah, I'm with you. I saw it and I was like,
oh, I did do this. Check this out. because you actually gave me the idea to do it. So 1 second. I'm going to do this one again.
Oh yeah.
And color it.
Yep. Yeah, that's gonna make a nice color piece.
That's what I thought too. I like you put the seed in. So I kept thinking, and I was printing this one out, and I was like, well, since I'm doing it, like, let me get on this one too. So, and like, I have work to do right now, and I saw that a bunch of people are distributing through Simon and Schuster and Penguin Books,
right?
Which is good news, because hopefully they can establish a distribution base.
Is that what DC is doing?
Yeah, Simon and Schuster and Penguin Books is distributing their comics. And hopefully, like I said, they can, because if they can establish a distribution base, they can start shipping all the comics.
Right.
And then Diamond's not a monopoly anymore. Because then people can choose. They can go, hey, well, we'd rather go through them and not lose 55% of cover price.
Exactly.
Because that's what they're losing right now, 55%. And then, like, so they're charging $4. They're getting, like, the companies are getting $1.75 after printing and paying everybody and advertising. Like, what? Those comics are netting 30 cents each, maybe?
Yep.
Like, I don't know if people realize that. Like, you got to pay, like, DC's going to take a cut of their own books because they're licensed out, I mean, like IDW, they have to pay a licensing fee.
Oh yeah, I know.
So, like, they're getting even less a book. And then I don't know how they even pay people, especially when a book only sells like 3,000 copies. How are they even paying anybody or making any money?
They're not. But DC's owned by AT&T now.
Yeah, AT&T.
They can afford it. They can afford to keep the property alive.
They own Penguin Books too.
Oh, do they?
Yeah. My first Dark Knight trade, this was before DC did, or anybody did trades. You remember when it was published by Penguin Books,
right?
Which was owned by Warner Brothers. So when they said Penguin Books was distributing them, I was like, of course they are. They own that.
Yeah, that makes sense now.
Like, they're not losing any money. They're just putting it on their trucks that they already have, and they're just going to comic shops instead of just Barnes and Nobles and stuff. It makes sense. It didn't surprise me at all.
It does but what about the shops that decided to close down? Are they going to suddenly reopen just for DC books, or?
I don't know. I guess they're going to have to talk to them, get in touch with them. I mean, it's really easy to find out retailers' address and numbers if they really want to.
Yeah, there's some website that even lists, you can, if you're a retailer, I think. What is it, Find My Comics Shop?
I believe that's what it is. It sounds familiar. But, like, yeah. So, I mean, good. I'm happy for it, actually. I'm glad that somebody's stepping up to do something. I mean, not to besmirch Diamond. Well, I understand why they closed. But it astonishes me that another place is fine with doing it. Was it as detrimental? If it's obviously possible to keep making comics.
Well, and you probably know this better than I do, but I just heard or saw on Twitter, people were actually told pencils down.
I'm not.
To quit working.
I can't say. I can't say, John.
Well, no, I mean, it was out in the open that people from Marvel and DC were told, quit working on books. But my thing is, this is the perfect time for them to get those books back on schedule.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm not allowed to say anything.
All right. Well, I don't want to get you in trouble. I'll just.
I was told, well, at least from my angle, I can't say anything.
All I know is I'm thinking if I was somebody working on a book and I had a script, I would continue to work so that when this is lifted, I'll be able to just turn in a batch of pages and,
Yeah, I can't. God dang it, John. I got to talk to you off camera about this type of thing.
Well, no, you don't. I don't want to. Like I said, this is just me. It's not you.
Yeah. No, you're right. I feel the same way.
I'm just thinking out loud, but there's no reason.
I am finishing my stuff that I have any script to, whether I'm told not to do it.
Right.
Let me just say that. I can say that. If I have a script for it and I'm contracted to do it, I'm still gonna do it on my time. And when this is done, I will voucher for it. So yeah, I have the same thing you said. I'm already ahead. I'm fine. But I would like to have whatever I have done. So when things start moving, which I know they will, I don't have the stress of that anymore.
Right. But see, I do know there are going to be people that they're just going to look at it like, all right, well, vacation. I'm not going to draw because I'm not getting paid. So I'm going to go play games or something all day.
Well, I just do commissions all the time, kind of like what I'm doing.
Right.
But I'm doing both. Commissions and I'm catching up on some of my commissions. And like I said, every page I finish is just putting me that far ahead of where I was.
That seems like to me, it seemed like a logical idea. I don't care. It's like
if they're not paying you because you can't, whether they can't because things aren't being distributed, or they're just locking down the budgets because they're not bringing anything in, which makes sense. I mean, let's be honest. If you're not bringing anything in, why spend money? But technically, I'm not doing this stuff for free because I will get paid when things move because I'm contracted to do those books.
Right.
I don't know how anybody else has their life set up, but I have a contract on those books.
Yeah. No, I totally, I get the business, it's.
I can't freeze it. I know I have to freeze the pay. But I'm not going to put myself in a hole because of it. To me, I'm like you. It just doesn't make sense. Like, I know I'm not getting paid for it right now, but I will get paid. And when things start moving, all of a sudden I'm free.
Yep.
And I can take other jobs. And since I've already finished that work, I'm getting technically in my head paid twice.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know, man. I agree with you. But I also understand the people who aren't contracted to do it. There's nothing that says that the people say, well, we're going to cancel this book. So there's no reason we'll pay you for what you've done. Or that somebody goes, well, I don't know. It never happened to me. But if somebody goes, well, we're just going to go with someone else from here on because we decided that. I've never had that happen to me. But no. I don't know if it happens. I'm just making up scenarios that probably aren't real. Yeah, so I don't know.
Well, we'll all find out whenever this is over what shakes out.
And there's going to be a time when, if it's not over soon, then people are going to have to be proactive and think of new ways to do what we do, or this is going away.
That's
for
true.
A while. And I know nobody wants that to happen. I don't want it to happen. I mean, this is the only thing I want to do. I mean, I'll do art, but like I want to tell stories. And my favorite way of telling stories is comics. So, but I'll do it any other way I have to.
Just get on a stream and start talking about your life from when you remember it to now.
Oh, geez, dude, the stories. I got lots of those stories.
That's what I'm talking about.
Like it's I remember telling one of these stories. Like I can't even tell the bad ones, the ones that I actually had a guy at a show last year when we were just talking and maybe doing a little drinking. And when you drink, loose lips, right?
Yeah.
And I was telling a story when I was younger, and it had to do with some illegal and very dangerous things. And then when it ended, he just looked at me and went, "You?" I was like, "Yeah, that's what's crazy. Yeah, me. Yeah, all that happened, and I have witnesses to all of it. Like, if you want to know these people, actually, the people I still associate with, they'll just laugh. I actually did do that once. Some friends were over. One of my old friends came over, and I was like, "You remember that story I told about this?" And he goes, "Yeah." I was like, "That's him. He was the guy driving." And they were like, and he's like, "Oh yeah, that happened." And they were like, "Oh my god," because we always thought that was just some like story you made up, like it happened, but it didn't happen like you said, type of story. Like you're just embellishing to make it crazy. Yeah. And I was like, no, all that was real. Like, I wish it wasn't, especially when it happened. I was like terrified. But yeah, that's the guy. And he just laughed. He goes, "Yeah, all of that stuff happened." It was pretty.
I don't know if Nighthawk Warrior is still in the room, but apparently he came in and said hello, and he knows I'm doing Dr. Doom, and he doesn't know the character you're drawing, Drew.
It is Eva 1 from Neo Genesis Evangelion. It's an anime manga thing. It's a robot. It's like biotech robot. It's hard to explain. You'll have to watch the show. I think it's on Netflix now, but it's an old one. It's one of my favorites, to be honest. So when someone commissioned me to do this, I was actually pretty excited. I was like, "Oh."
Drew, speaking of that, do you have an open spot available now, or are you?
Oh, I can have one. I finished all the ones that in my shop.
Okay.
So I technically do. I just haven't opened it. I guess I should, right? But
I just didn't know if
they go quick. If anybody's listening and wants one, yeah, man, I'm going to tell you now. If you see it and think you're just going to wait till later to get it, that's probably not going to happen. I mean, I'm not bragging. I'm just it's just the way it has happened. It's been people I don't even know these people, which is wonderful. But usually it's people I know, like Little John or Mike Cross, or a slew of people who have been my clientele for years. But these are all brand new people who are just like, "Hey,
let me
get something."
Let me ask you this, because I feel odd in this business and in doing commissions, calling people clients. That seems like such a.
I don't.
No, okay.
I do at times. Okay. Here's the thing, John. In my head, is time and place. If we're together as friends, I'm not going to say that. But if we're talking like in general terms to mostly strangers, I'm going to say clients. Just because there has to be a distinction between businesses and friendships. And like Little John's, I consider him a friend.
Right.
Mike, I consider a friend. Craig, you, everybody who almost everybody who gets commissions from me, I tell them that. I was like, at the beginning, like I want our relationship to develop into friendship. Like it starts out as you wanting something and me doing it for you. But eventually I would really want it to be, "Hey, Drew, how's it going? How's your kids?" And then I go, "How are your kids? Do they still ice skate?"
Yeah, no, I totally get it.
But we, on a business sense, if someone's offended by that, I'm sorry. But like on a business sense, so people know the scale of what we're doing.
No, I think it's just me. It's like I get like the client uh, provider relationship type thing. It just seems
It's weird.
medicinal, I guess, is the best I can. You know what I mean? It
Yes.
seems like I would almost rather have another term for someone getting a comic book commission, but I guess there is no better term. Hey, I don't know. It was just something that stuff.
You can call them a commissioner, but that sounds weird.
Yeah, see, that one sounds weird too. That's what I'm saying is I just thought there could be a better term.
Maybe we can come up with one.
You know, it's like the purchaser.
Yeah, that doesn't sound right either. That doesn't sound right either.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's why I asked you. It's just, it's probably just a me thing.
It's not. I don't call. I don't when if we talk about Twitter, I won't call people followers. I think that's weird. I have I like when people on Instagram. I have thousands of people on Instagram. I just call them people who follow me.
Right.
I won't call them followers because for some reason that hasn't. It just doesn't ring right with me. It just bothers me, in my core. And
as I understand it, you want them to not be your follower. You don't want them to be a fan. You basically want them to be your audience.
Yeah, and that's how I feel. Like I just say these are the I have this many people following me. And that's what I'll say, which is exactly the same thing as followers, by the way.
Right.
But I don't say that because it sounds really culty to me at some point. I had a guy said, we were somewhere, and he goes, yeah, I've got to post something for my followers tonight. I'm like, because they really love I'd rather somebody say fans.
Right.
Than followers. I don't know what it is. I get this really Waco drink the Kool-Aid vibe from that. Jonestown sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I just like I said, like you with clients, it's just my word. It's like my trigger word.
No, I get it. That's why I say I was like, man, when I hear somebody refer to someone as a client, I think of more of a huge business thing. With this, it's on a smaller scale, so it seems like, I don't know.
You're right. I understand what you're saying, and I agree in a way, but then there's also it's just I've gotten so used to it. Like saying gigs. You know how many times I've said gigs? Oh yeah, man, I've got this new gig and da 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 da. And people who aren't in comics or anything of the sort, they go gigs. It's like we're trying to be cool or something.
Right.
But it's not has nothing to do with it. That's just what they're called. Everybody calls it that. Oh, I have these 2 gigs coming up, and then I got this gig, and this is a book gig, but this is a more movie gig, and it has nothing to do with I guess it is a slang term, but it's just part of our culture,
right?
But when someone I hate saying layman too because that sounds degrading to me, but someone who's not in the industry, they think it's funny, weird. In a sense, they only heard musicians do that.
Well, it's you work for Marvel, DC, Dynamite. Are they your client or are you their client? It's.
I say we work together. I always say that. I know I'm a freelancer and I work for hire,
right?
But still, I say we work together. I'm like, yeah, we're working together. I'm working with Diamond, not for. I always say that. I don't know why. Maybe it psychologically makes me feel like I have a little bit of control.
Right.
I don't know. But it makes me feel better about it. And I always tell my editors, I love working with you or, Um, just because I believe we work together and I don't work for you, but I kind of do work for you.
Right.
So I don't know. I guess for me, it's more psychological, I think, uh, to use the words like with, and it's more communal. But I also take time to learn who I'm working with too, like as in letterers and colorists and editors and writers. Um, not everybody, like not every gig allows you that opportunity because I've worked for some companies that editors are go between everybody. You never talk to anyone,
Right.
And I don't like that arrangement personally, but sometimes that's just the way it works.
Yeah, I remember I always tried to have communication with almost everyone on a book. If I knew we were going to be on it for a long period of time, it's nice to be able to contact the writer, just say hello, it's nice working with you, enjoy your work or whatever.
Or even say, hey, you never put time direction in here. Is this day or night?
Right.
Because there's a lot of sky here, and I don't know whether to put stars or just leave it blank.
Yeah, it's kind of nice to get to know the people you work with.
I agree. Even though sometimes they're not as receptive.
Right.
I had this one guy. I'm not going to say who it is because he's a pretty big guy, but I was trying to get approvals for like 14 pages of thumbs. It's a 24-page comic, and I had done 14 pages thumbnailed, and I sent it. And while I was waiting, I was doing the last 10. So like 2 weeks passed, and I'm like, what is going on? And, I CC'd the editor as well, so it wasn't like I was just sending it to him. And I didn't get a reply, so I replied to both of them, and I said, look, I haven't heard anything, so I'm going to assume that this is okay, because in my mind, I still have a deadline, and I need to get paid.
Right.
So it's been 2 weeks with nothing. So the editor no one said anything for like a day or two, and then the editor chimes in and goes, well, yeah, just go ahead and start it. Because I guess she assumed the same thing I did. No one's saying anything, so we must be fine.
Hey, I'll say good morning to AG. He's came in, Drew, and then from the Twitterverse, from the Periscopes, we have a question from Simpler Boulder. What do you use to keep your phone mounted? Well, I don't use a phone, and I don't think Drew does either.
I do use a phone mount.
Oh, do you? Okay.
Because this is a small webcam. So I have this. It's just a phone mount. It has like a arm that's like malleable, and it's firm and stiff. And I don't know the name of it. It's just some generic arm. And then I have it mounted to that. But then I also have a tripod that has extendable legs and all these adjustable pieces. So I have a tripod and that arm. Like when I get my new camera, whenever the prices go down, I probably won't be using the phone mount anymore. I'll probably be using just my tripod because I have an arm that goes out above, like it extends over, and then I can just mount the camera to that. But right now I do use just I would Amazon phone mount, adjustable phone mount, and you'll find one. Now to keep it elevated, you buy a tripod. Amazon has Amazon Basics tripod. I think it's only like $30.
Right, and I am using a web camera. It's the Logitech C920, I think.
That's high dollar now for some reason.
Yeah, well, because more people are streaming. And then the actual mount that I have, I'm looking for a brand name. I probably overpaid. I mean, it's a lot of quality. I'm trying to look for a name on it now, but I can't find it. But it actually is meant for a phone. But it's got a really sturdy base. It can go up or down. It's got these 3 things that go across so I can manipulate it however I want to, but I just keep it set up as it is now because I find that it works well. So I have one workstation that's just for streaming, and right here, okay, this is my wife. I was gonna say I gotta call his teacher or something, but I'll be right back.
This is my 3rd piece, I think, on a good clip today. Yeah. Interesting. I should really be using this. How you doing, guys? I don't know if you can hear me. John's talking on the phone. I'm just here, man. Doesn't Pennywise have are both his eyes the same color? Does anybody know? I'm gonna look. I'm not coloring this one. I'm actually gonna do. What time is it? I gotta go in 20 minutes. I'm doing a live stream with Blue Hen Comics. I think it is Blue Hen in Delaware. Just trying to support comic shops. So it's going to be a Facebook Live thing. So if you're a Facebook friend, I'll be on that later around 1. Just talking, and I'll probably be drawing still because we're doing it Facebook Live. I don't want to shock people with my face. So I will be on there. So yeah, it is what it is. Blue Hen Comics. I think Jason. I never say his last name right. Cola Triano is his name. He's Blue Hen Comics. We're gonna just talk about art stuff, comic stuff, maybe a little basketball because I love basketball. So, okay, you can have whatever. Thank you, Little John.
All right. Oh yeah, that Pennywise you started was cool.
Yeah, it was just for fun. I'm gonna do some screen tone on it.
Does Little John want to get that? Is that?
Oh no, I'm just gonna put it in my store. I just asked Little John. I was just generally, what color eyes does he have? And Little John, that's the beauty of the character. He can have whatever color eyes you want. And I was like, oh, okay. So
Now, would that maybe be the only color you put on it?
no, I'm not gonna do any color. I'm gonna have a lot of the tone in there.
Yeah, I know, but I thought maybe if you're just gonna do like color in one area, screen tones, and then just color the eyes.
Yeah, I'd have to see after it's done.
So apparently, my son's done all the work, but it's not in the right place. But that's where we found it. So the teacher's not able to get it because he's in the wrong spot, but he's done. He's done with the work.
Good.
And my wife's like, you need to call her because every time she sends me someplace to download this and get in this group or this team, I can't find it.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't do anything from here. I have to, I had it so he could log in on his laptop himself. But apparently,
yeah.
I got a hold of the teacher and said, Jacob's done, what now? And she's like, oh, let me check. She goes, I don't see anything. Are you in the right spot? She's like, well, we did all the work you had there.
I accounted to this because my son's teacher, like, it's been hit or miss with some of this stuff. I attribute it. I mean, this is just we're on a learning curve right now.
Yep. No, the teacher even admitted that she, in the text as she was sending that this is the first time she's had to do it. So bear with her too.
Yeah. My wife emailed our teacher because she was just like, hey, doing class in 5 minutes. Everybody get on. And I'm like, well, I can't do that. We're not even like I am in the middle of, I can't stop. And my son was like working on work. And this was like, so my wife said, look, you need to come up with a real schedule. I mean, I'm doing it. She said, like, this isn't just for me, but people have lives other than you.
Right.
So we need to know when, and then we can schedule accordingly because some of us have jobs. So if you could do that, I would appreciate that. But she did that kind of publicly. So today I got an email saying, hey, please bear with me. I'm trying to come up with the schedule that we can all So
well, that's what my wife even said. She said, look, this is the first day. Jacob's done whatever he's needed to do, I guess, for the entire week.
See, that's good, though, because he knows he can play Fortnite now.
Roblox. That's his forte.
Yeah, my son likes Fortnite, Roblox, and Minecraft. That's his triumphative.
Yeah. And my kid likes Jacob likes Undertale too.
I don't know what that is. I don't know.
I don't either. It's got this little character. It's kind of funny. There's Sans, and I know it's got to be like a sans serif, but because they have Papyrus, which is another font. And
so they're after like fonts and
yeah,
it's
I don't know. And then there's some. I have no idea. And then there's like some character called Jevil, which is like devil but with a J. Oh. And it's done like in the old 8-bit style too. So it's
that's cool.
Yeah. So he stumbled across it and he seems to enjoy it. And I got him a little plush of Sans, and it actually, I was expecting it to be horrible because it came from Amazon from some seller I never saw, and it was like $11, and I'm like, oh, this thing's gonna be like some mass-produced thing that starts shredding and falling apart. And
that was pretty nice.
Yeah, it's a nice plush, I gotta admit. So yeah, I mean, my wife was kind of excited, and I just said, well, I kind of have to be at home because, if I need to log in somewhere, I need to be on Jacob's computer.
Yeah, sure.
So it gets on his, and I said, I'll do it later. It's, it's first day.
And it's not like super, like you said, it's not like he can't do anything. He's already done it all. So
right.
He's kind of ahead of the curve at this point.
Yeah, I just hope he doesn't have to, and he might, he might, if he has to go through it again, that's really gonna
Yeah, he can do it quickly though, because he's already done it once.
Yeah, but he's already bored.
Oh, okay.
I mean, the work is so easy at that point. He's so bored with it that he doesn't want to do it.
That's the way my eldest was. It was like everything was just so easy. And I told him, like, he got to the point where he was just racing people just to make it fun. And I was like, dude, don't do that. I was like, I get it's easy for you, but like, you're just asking to make mistakes. It doesn't matter if you're first, if they're all wrong.
Right.
So And he wasn't all wrong, but I just wanted to make a point.
Well, like I said, I help Jacob with his homework. That's kind of our thing on Sundays. I'll let him because he doesn't have to turn it in till Monday. So I'm like, all right, Sunday morning after breakfast, before you get on your computer, we're going to do your homework. So it's done. We're going to put it in your backpack. You're going to be all set. I said, then you can have as much fun as you want until bedtime. He's like, all right. So we started doing that. And now we're kind of out of that routine because of this whole pandemic thing. But there were a couple times he hurried, and instead of like adding, he would subtract or he would miss something. And I would check it over and I'd go like, oh, what'd you do here? And he's like, what? And I said, this one here is wrong. What'd you do? And he's like, I don't know. And I said, look at the other ones, whether it be subtraction or multiplication. And he would subtract one instead of multiply, or not multiply, but add. And he's like, I said, look at that. I said, what's wrong about it? And he's like, well, nothing. Like 40 minus 10 is 30. And I said, yeah, but you're doing addition. And he's like,
my son, he's just such a rush.
Yeah. I'm like, you're right. But you subtracted one instead of, added it.
Like I said, and we're all adjusting to a new lifestyle. Hopefully it's not a permanent one. I don't think it is, but it may be lasting a while.
Yeah, it might take to the end of this year to get stuff straightened out. I hope it don't take that long, but it could.
I sure hope not, because I've already not been anywhere in 16 days, and it's driving me a little nuts. Or 17. Something I've losing count. Every Thursday is 7 days, so this Thursday will be 21. So, I've been going for walks. I have a cigar a day on warm days.
You're getting out a little bit then.
Yeah, I'm going down the street and skateboarding down the road. I don't get near people. With me going out, like I would love to just be like, hey, how's it going? Just to see faces. Like that, just that little bit of human contact. You take it for granted when you get none. Meaning like not even a hello, like seeing a face. It gets to you after a while. But being the little bit of exercise I'm getting, it's getting infectious. Like the moving around and the skateboarding and walking and all that. I think it's going to become a normal thing more often. I've been working on losing weight too, and I lost about 32 pounds last year. So I'm trying to get in the low 200s. Because I was 312, unbelievably. And now I'm 280. So I dropped 32 pounds. So I'm trying to get in the 220s range is my next goal, which is still 60 pounds.
You can do it. I did it.
So if I can get to the 220s, even if I don't, if I can put on some muscle to kind of get, eat some of that fat up. And just also to build a stronger frame. That's cool too. I have weights here and exercise bikes and stuff like that. So I can start that once my body's acclimated to moving. It's just getting there, man. My body is like, I am sore. I'm not gonna lie. It doesn't hurt really bad, but it hurts. It hurts enough that I know I'm not going to lift anything today.
Right.
I might go skate though if the rain stays away. I go around, maybe 4, 5, 6 blocks. I won't do any tricks, period, anymore.
See, I can't. The skateboards they have now with the wide decks. Of course you do.
Yeah.
And they're big. Now the skateboard I had when I was young, They were like a banana. They were polyurethane and plastic or whatever, and
Yeah, no
skinny.
wonder like that.
Yeah, I know. And then they went to that new style of skateboard after because we used to just skateboard down our driveway. You couldn't even go like onto asphalt because of the wheels. If you hit the road, you'd wind up, it would just stop and you'd topple into the road.
Yeah.
But the new ones, those wheels can go over a bunch of stuff, but the way they're built,
wheels,
how wide they are and stuff, and maybe it's just, and too, Drew, being tall, it's like,
no, well, the thing is they're not as wide as they used to be. Like when I first started skating.
Okay, I'm not getting on one. Just let me make that clear.
Well, no, even I think it's easier to ride if they're wider. That's what more like the cruiser boards are wider. Like when I started, my first skateboard was an '86. I got a Nash. It was an Executioner, which was like a neon orange board with a dragon on it.
Right.
It's made out of cheap wood. Had like rail guards, tail guard, nose guard. Even had a guard on the trucks, which is ridiculous. That thing must have weighed like 60 pounds. It was so heavy. But they were super wide, but flat. They were flat, wide, and it had a little kick to the tail, but generally flat board. Eventually, I got my first real board. That was 85, actually. 86, I got my first real board, which was a Santa Cruz. It was a Rob Roscoff. A character busting through a target. It was neon pink. It had a little concave in it, which most skateboards have. It helps grip your feet and helps you with turning. It was wide, but not as wide as the Nash. Had better kick. Had a tiny nose. No rails. Regular trucks. Real wheels. They're called they were Spitfire wheels back then. You get all sorts of wheels. You can get OJ's, Powell's, the Rat Bone. Like there's like thousands of different wheels now. But those are my first real wheels.
Are the different wheels now for all different terrains and whatever you make
hardnesses? So soft wheels, you can skate in the street. They're soft. They get a little chunked up, but I think harder wheels is more ramp skating because it's on a smooth surface and you can get a lot of speed. But if you have a softer wheel, it grips more. So that's more, I think, of a street wheel. But then you get different diameters too. You get big wheels, tiny, or small wheels, not really tiny, but different size diameters as well. It just matters what you want. And then the trucks are different widths because boards range now. If a regular board, now I'm not talking like cruiser boards or long boards or any of that stuff, all the specialty boards. I'm talking like a regular skateboard. Usually ranges between 7 inches and up to 9, 8 3/4 wide. So when I started, there was only difference in width and size was if you bought a certain skater's board. Some skaters like fat boards, so if you bought their boards, they were wider. Some skaters like thin boards. So that was like you. Now it seems like all the shapes are kind of close to the same, but you can choose your own widths. And you're pretty much just buying graphics, I feel. I mean, some skaters like more concave, some like less. So if you find a skater you like their board, you're like, oh, this board has the exact concave I like. Odds are his next board is gonna be exactly the same with different graphics. So you do that, and like there was an era in the early 2000s, late 90s, where skateboards got really skinny because everybody was doing like flip tricks, and when skateboards are skinny, you can flip them faster. It's just obvious if it's wide, it's a little harder to flip.
Right.
It's not that hard, but it definitely slows the flip down because you get a nice pop on those skinny ones, but then it's kind of harder to land because the board is thinner, So you got to find what's right for you. Like right now, me being as old as I am and how I'm not doing tricks, I'm going to get a wider board I don't need to do tricks anymore. I mean, I still do like 180s and a kickflip here and there.
I just love this. It's
Like it might look weird to people because I'm pretty big now, but I don't try anything off of anything or do anything that requires a lot of danger. So
that's coming, Drew.
Oh no, it's not. I already had that. And I guess I had a little bit of a midlife crisis when I turned 40. I'm not gonna say if a midlife crisis could last one day. It was that day, my 40th birthday. A friend of mine came over who's the same age, and we did some skateboarding in front of my house. Everything was going fine. I was actually landing some tricks that I didn't think I could do anymore. So I was feeling pretty high on myself. And my son was out there and his friends, and they were skateboarding too. And we were all having a good time. And then out of nowhere, I'm like, I'm going to do this really old school trick that's pretty simple. So I didn't think I would hurt myself. It's called a helipop. A helipop is a trick that I haven't done since 1980. Like, even when I was skating, normally that wasn't a trick anymore, if that makes sense. Like, it was just a trick to goof off on. And helipop's when you turn quickly and the momentum of you spinning takes you out of and you like your board leaves the ground. So it's like doing a 360 in the air, but it's really only 180 of it's in the air. It's like just spinning quickly. So I tried to do a helipop, and I wasn't going fast enough. So I did more of a hella flop. And the second I started to like go towards the ground, my brain kicked in and was like, uh-oh, can't mess up your drawing arm.
Yeah.
So I just threw my right arm right into the air, and I landed with everything on my left. And when I was younger, I knew how to fall. And why I say know how to fall is I could fall off a set of stairs and be fine. Like, it didn't even hurt. I could fall 30 feet and like roll for 20, and not 30 feet, but I could fall pretty high and roll with the momentum of it and not really feel anything, other than the roll itself. But this was not as graceful as that. And I jacked my left arm up pretty bad. I think I might have broken my wrist or at least sprained it pretty bad, but I didn't go to the doctor. But for about 3 months, my left wrist and arm wasn't right. And I was like, I can't. Like, it was a realization moment. Like one of those things you're like, you know what? Yeah, buddy, that's done for you. I know you like it, but let's be real. If you're out of work, your family doesn't eat, you lose your house, and you're going to do that for skateboarding. Yeah, it's not going to happen. But I can ride. Like, riding's not a problem. And doing little tricks like ollies, kickflips, varials, shove-its, 180s, nollie 180s, little things. Those things I can do, and they're fun. But I'm not trying anything more than that.
We need some video footage.
I'm not going to even do rail slides anymore, or grinds, or my favorite thing. I used to do like switch backside no slides. That was like my favorite thing to do. I'd go at top speed doing that on anything. I won't do that anymore. No, ouch. That trick you tend to fall forward on, and I can't.
We need video footage.
No thanks. My wife was trying to take my picture 2 days ago when I went out, and I was like, no, don't you dare.
It would be fun seeing Drew like just cruising down the block.
Well, that's what's crazy is like when my son and his
your girlfriend,
my son and his girlfriend saw me, like, because I go like I go. I don't just like do like I just go. So I couldn't do that too much with them because I would leave them. They were walking. And then I'd have to skate back, and I was like, I don't want to keep having to skate back and forth to you guys. This is getting tiring. But they're like, his girlfriend was like, I can't believe your dad is doing that. Like, she can't even stand on it. And I'm like,
dude, I can't either. Back in the 90s, I think it was, 90s and early 2000s. My sister would bring her two boys from Nevada here, and I would take them to the skate park, and I was like, hey, I never was good at skateboarding, but I could at least stand on one, and I got on one of their boards, and it was like so different. And I was a lot older and heavier too, so I was like, I busted my butt.
Yeah, don't risk it, man.
I fell down and boom, and I said, okay, that's it. I can't even stand and keep my balance on one.
You take that for granted too, being able to do that. Like, you don't realize not everybody can just go. like, and the sad thing is, like, even now, because there was an era of just skaters who just walked around and carried, like, kids were walking around here just carrying their boards down the street. And I'm like, what is wrong with you? You have a skateboard. Like, go. Like, skate down the street, ollie up the curb, keep going, and get where you need to go. Like, why? And their boards are all brand new and pristine. I'm like, ugh, gross.
like, scrape that thing up, man.
Yeah, have some fun. Like, and if you're going from point A to B,
they're just a poser then.
Well, I mean, if you're going to point A to B, right, then why are you carrying it? Then just walk. Because skateboards are heavy after a while. Like, just walk. If you're going to just carry it, walk. Save yourself the struggle of carrying a block of wood with wheels, a mile and a half. Just walk. It's easier. Bring a backpack, bring some water, maybe some trail mix. I don't know what the hell you do. But don't get the skateboard. Because that's part of the fun is if you're not going to skate, at least, I don't know. If you're not going to skate it, then don't bring it. Don't bring it. My wife is like, you're judging them. I'm like, I am. I am judging them.
Actually, this time I am.
I'm saying, like, save it. I feel bad for you is what I'm saying. It's like, go have fun. Like, because you're not, like, back in the day, so many people skateboarded. There, you could say poser because they were people who wanted to, and it's really not nice to say that to someone. But they were kids who didn't skate, but they wanted to, like, be a part of something. So they didn't really skate. They held their boards and they watched, which now, being an adult, I see, like, that's fine. But as a kid, you were just like, look at that dude, right? And that's not right.
He's got that really rad board and he won't even, like, he's afraid he's going to get a scrape on it.
Or they're just intimidated by people because we'd roll up in a carload and there'd be kids skateboarding and we'd show up. And we were kids too. Don't get me wrong. We were also children. I was in my teens when we were doing this. But we'd roll up on a group of people sessioning at, gas station, wherever. And they would all just stop skating and sit down while we skated until we left. And I was like, why aren't they? And I always try and introduce myself, like, because that's just the type of person I am.
Right.
And I just go, hey, man, my name's Drew. Like, what's up? Where are you? You guys from here? Like, and they would talk, but then they wouldn't skate. You're just like, why aren't you skating?
You took our turf.
Well, and they're also like, they don't know who you are. If they think you're good, then they don't skate because it's like an embarrassing thing. But
right.
I don't know. I always felt like I skated for me anyway. I don't care who's better than me because you know what? Most people are better than me. So who cares? I'm just trying to have a good time. But I understand why they did it now. Just because, they're embarrassed. It's hard to put yourself out there. But when I was a kid, it was like, oh, that guy's a poser. Like he doesn't do anything. Probably won't see him a month from now because he'll give up, play football or something. Like, um, but that's just being a kid and not having any kind of real life experience,
Right.
And judging people.
Well, sometimes I think we're all guilty. We don't really realize when we're judging people if we're just like, dude, ride that thing,
Yeah, it bothers me. I'm like, dude, come on.
There's a fine line in between really sitting down and judging someone and just like trying to get somebody to like, why don't you ride it?
You know how much fun you're gonna have? Like, it's a lot of fun, man. Like, you could really this could really enhance your life. Let's do it. If not, it's just gonna get you where you want to faster. That Dr. Doom looks amazing.
I've spent long enough on it.
I was just saying while you were going, I was like, dude, I'm on my third piece. But also, I don't have as many details in the pieces that I've done. So it's a misjudgment of speed if you think I did it because I'm super fast.
Well, you are super fast.
It was more of there wasn't much detail in that Evangelon. It's just contour lines.
Well, I still think it's pretty incredible.
This is how I get my black finger.
Because I do know. Is that what you're just while it's still wet, you just give it a little?
Yeah, give it a little push.
I thought you were doing a little dry brush.
I know. A lot of people did. But no, this stuff stays pretty wet.
Yeah, I found that out on erasing a few of them a little too early.
Take advantage of it. See, your stuff is so crisp most of the time. Like I said, it looks like wet. It's so crisp, and I love it. So you wouldn't really do this unless it required it.
Last year I was doing a lot of dry brush and experimental stuff. Isn't
it fun?
Oh yeah, I love it.
It is. I usually don't either, to be honest, John. I act like I do this all the time. This is something I'm doing now.
I started seeing more people doing dry brush and splatter and stuff on sketches, so I just started following suit. I'm like, well, and people love splatter, man. It's like,
oh, it makes you authentic.
It does. It's like comic book crack.
That's exactly how skateboarding is. I'm saying, see what you said. You're like, everybody was doing this, so I just kind of followed suit. In skateboarding, there's always a hot trick,
right?
Whether it's an old trick somebody brought back or it's a new trick that people are just doing. I remember when new tricks, because when I was skateboarding, tricks were new.
Yeah,
in '89, from '85 to. And I probably quit around 2001. So, there was always a hot trick, but there were also new tricks. 360 flips were new when I started. Were new after a couple of years of skating, and then they had late flips where you would ollie into the air, and then you would flip it late. And then landed. It looked like a delayed trick in a sense. That was hot for a while. Everybody was doing it. It was like late pop shove-its or late shove-its and late kick flips and all this stuff. And then that went out of style where it got played out. No one wanted to do it anymore. I don't know if that's how it is now because, like I said, I'm not in touch with the generational youth. I have no reason to be. I mean, my son doesn't skate, so neither one does. I mean, he does. He rolls around, but he doesn't skate go in session and all that stuff. But back in the day, that it's like this, like you said, everybody's dry brushing and splattering. So I just, hey, I did it too. It's the same thing. It's I think that might be with everything, isn't it?
Yeah, I was gonna say. It's like I started noticing it like, Mateo was splattering everything, and I really liked it.
Yeah, he uses splatter a lot.
And I was like, I gotta, and he was doing all these, when he was really, now he's moved into color, which is brilliant, but when he was doing his ink wash stuff, and it's so fast how fast he can do it.
Yeah, he's him, and I like Greg Smallwood. I like the stuff he does with black and white stuff.
Who is that again?
Smallwood, I think it's Greg Smallwood. I think that's his name. Here, let me bring up something for you.
All right.
I might have missed his first name. No, I was right. See, when I say somebody like that, I feel like everyone knows, but then it turns out they don't.
Well, I might know the work. I just may not know the name.
Well, because it happened to me when I mentioned where I was talking to somebody about Albert Dorn.
Right.
And they were like, I just assumed that everybody knew who Albert Dorn was. Like in my head, everybody knows who Albert Dorn is.
Or they should know.
And he was just like, who? And I was like, yeah, for an illustrator. And he was just like, I have no idea who that is.
It's like funny because you think about all the people that are being influenced by anime artists. Are they gonna know like Frazetta and Toth and these guys? Like, do they know them now?
Yeah, probably not. Maybe. Who knows? I mean, great art transcends genre.
Yeah, I know, but if they're not exposed to it,
yeah,
and I mean, Frazetta's not. I mean, they're keeping his body of work alive to an extent, but it's not out there like when I was coming up.
That's Greg Smallwood.
Oh, okay.
I want to see if I can get to like some of his black and white work. That's wonderful. Look at that thing. That's just beautiful. That's just somebody you just love to hate.
Is it Greg Smallwood?
Yep. He's an amazing artist. I really enjoy his work. It's got that classic feel to it.
Yeah.
But it also has like, the new school like feel to it. So he's his own thing, but also influenced by like that. Like, see the textures in that?
Now, is that digital?
No.
Okay.
Now the background maybe, but like he doesn't. Let me see if I can find some of his pencil, like traditional pencil stuff. It's there. Well, no. He was doing these sketches. And he posts so much. Like here, look at this. These are sketches.
Yeah, nice.
Like, and there's a man thing. But he's, I bought a bunch. I have a bunch of black softcore pencils because that's what he's doing. That texture, the pencil texture. Yeah. He's using Prismacolor pencil to add that. So I like the dry brush to me. Like, well, this smudging replicates that as well.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So, I kind of stealing what he's doing, but doing it my own way. But I'm getting close to what his look. But not exactly. It's kind of like this is why we share like things, right?
Yeah.
Because then new things come out of it.
Right.
Like I wouldn't have done this, but the second I did it once, I was like, "Ooh, that looks like Greg Smallwood's like pencil work," And I was like, but it's with ink. Not that is better or anything, but I'm getting the same texture that he is doing it this way. And when I use the color pencil, I don't get the texture he does because I don't know what pressure he's pressing down. I'm not seeing him do it.
Or the paper, maybe.
Paper, yeah.
It's a lot of variables.
Yeah, so I had to come up with my own way of getting it. And it's working for me. There are little things that don't work. Um, but that's how we live. I mean, that's how we learn. We have to, as artists, come up with our own thing. I gotta leave in like 10 minutes if that's okay.
Yeah, that you leave when you got to. I don't want you to be late for.
It's just a Facebook live stream.
Yeah, but like I said, if you need to take a break before you go to there, you feel free to. I just enjoy having you on, and the conversation is always interesting and fun, if not unusual.
It is sometimes.
It is. I mean,
to the stories, so I get to tell them again.
But it's you know what? It's like you're human, So it's like,
yeah.
I mean,
am I, John?
I don't know, but I mean, here's the thing: we could sit here and moan and complain about comics all the time, which we do occasionally, but it's also fun to talk about things that happen in real life. Not that comics aren't real life, but I mean,
it's like we've all lived enough life to have stories,
right? Yeah.
So
some of us have just had more interesting stories.
Well, some of us put ourselves in really bad situations and come out okay, and then after went, why did we do that? That was so dumb. Like we could have really been hurt, and then I don't know. Even at the time of some of the stuff that I can remember, I remember going, why are we doing this? And being vocal about it too. Like, guys, this is dumb.
Yep.
And then still doing it.
Well, that's the funny part. You have a concern, you voice it. Everybody else kind of is on the same, boat, so to speak.
Yeah, they're all like, "Oh, yeah, you're right," but we're still doing this. And I'm like, "Of course."
I mean, you think about all the negative stuff that could happen, and you're like, "Yeah, that's right. That could really be bad."
Yeah, let's get to it then.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, yeah, but how epic is it going to be if it doesn't? Yeah. And you know what the thing is? You don't even think about 30 years from now, you're going to be telling this story on a YouTube channel.
Well, that's the thing. Most of the time, the bad thing doesn't happen. I mean, and I'm not telling kids to do things.
Exactly. That's true. It's rare.
But man, it just the thought that it could, though, is pretty terrifying.
I mean, truthfully, aren't you sometimes you look back and you're thankful that you're still alive?
Yes. I mean, I've almost died of illness twice. With my spleen, I almost died. At least that's what the doctor said. He told my dad I almost died on the table. And then when I had that pneumonia, the doctor told me if I had waited another day, they wouldn't have been able to help me.
Was that recently? The
pneumonia was right after the spleen thing, like a year later. I ended up in the hospital for like almost 3 weeks with pneumonia.
But I mean, I'm talking about just you jumping off the roof.
Yeah, those things are crazy too. There were more times than that were actually.
But I mean, don't you ever think back and go, I could have been dead?
Yes. Yes, there's tons of times. I think that, like when I got mugged at gunpoint, and I asked the guy for my driver's license back. Yeah, it was. You don't understand, John. There's more to that story. And I can tell it because I mean, even though I was doing okay,
but I mean, the funny thing to me about that is, I know how much of a pain it is sometimes to get a driver's license or whatever.
That's so why I lost my driver's license. Okay, I was like 21, maybe 20, maybe I was 19, somewhere in that age. And I lost my driver's license, so I had to go to the DMV. I sat in the DMV for 8 hours that same day.
Right.
So I was, and I'm going to be honest. Me and my friend and his girlfriend were on our way to our weed dealer. I was going to buy myself a little bit of weed. And we walk into his apartment area, which is like there's an outside that faces the street, but then you walk through the apartment area and it goes into this like foyer area where you can enter the different apartment buildings. So that's not visible from the street. That's just like an open area that goes to doors. It's a very large area. As we're walking, I see this guy with a hoodie, and let me tell you, it was warm. And I saw him with the hoodie on, and he had his hands like in his pockets. But I'd seen people. I know what he had. I knew what he had before he was even close to us. I was just worried if I told my friends, they would run, and he'd just start shooting, which probably wouldn't have happened. He probably would have just ran too. But I just kept my mouth shut, and I was like, and all I said was, "Oh, something's about to happen." And my friend goes, "What?" Guy walks up to us, pulls the gun out, goes, "Give me your stuff. I'm trying to keep it as clean as I can."
Yeah.
And I said, and then we all pulled out a wallet. She gave him the purse she had, which wasn't a purse; it was a clutch. And I gave him my wallet, and then he looks at us, and I go, "Hey." And he looks at me, he goes, "What?" I was like, "Can I get my license back, man? You can't do nothing." And he looked at me, and he just started laughing. And he goes, "Man, you're crazy." I was like, "Dude, I just got back from the DMV." And then he looked at my wallet. He said, "Which one's yours?" I said, "That one." He took my cash out, which was $30, and he threw my wallet back at me, which had my credit cards, my license, and social security card, all that stuff. He just threw it back. And then he goes, "Man, you're a crazy dude," and just walked off with all their stuff. And they were like, "Dude, why'd you do that? We could have been shot." I was like, "Well, no, he wasn't trying to shoot anybody."
Yeah, he would have been shooting.
I was like, and I just got back from the DMV. So, he can go F himself. I want my license back. And I did. And they're like, and I was like, and plus, I got my stuff back.
Hey, it never hurts to ask, right?
Yeah. And then I got back. We went to the guy's house that we were going to procure stuff from. And I was like, "Look, man, I'm sorry, but we're not going to buy anything because we just got robbed." And he was like, "Out in front of my house?" I was like, "Yeah, where I live, it could happen. And even now it could happen." So I was just like, "Yeah, man, we got jacked. It's whatever." And he actually gave me free weed. So he was just like, "I feel so bad to happen in front of my house. Here's some free weed." I was like, "Okay, this is great." So I lost $30, but I got $30 worth of weed anyway.
Customer service,
Yeah, he's super nice. I mean, hey, weed dealers are nice.
He had to keep you coming back because if you're jacked in front of his house, he might think, "Oh, he's going to find a dealer that is safer."
It didn't even occur to me to even tell people. I mean, I guess I did tell people, like as a story, but like it didn't say like don't go to his place.
That's what he was preventing. See,
he did because I never said it. It didn't even occur to me to say it. I was just like, "Yeah, man, here's a funny story," and everybody goes, "Why did you?" I'm like, "Guys, come on,
guys, come on! I'd rather take a bullet than go back to the DMV."
Hours in the DMV, and plus where I grew up, like from when I was 10 till then, I was still living in the same place.
Hey, you made a nice rhyme. 10 till then.
Yeah, 10 till then. I've seen people get robbed all the time. And like it was like I don't know. I was desensitized to kind of the situation. I knew how it was going to play out before it happened because I saw him coming. I was like, "Ugh, gross." I know what's about to happen, and I knew the people I was with weren't going to resist.
Right.
So I did if I did think it was people who were going to try and fight him, I would have been like, "Dude, don't do anything. This guy's got a gun. Like, just give him whatever he wants." But I knew the people I was with were going to just be like, "Here, take whatever you want. Just go away," which is kind of what happened. I just remember I will never forget his face and that laugh, that smile. Like he was almost looked at him, and I knew he was somebody I probably hang out with.
Right.
Like he was just like we could have been friends under different circumstances.
Actually, if you met him today, you guys could probably still be friends and tell that story together.
To be honest, I would remember. I don't know how he would look now. I mean, we're close to the same age. I can tell that. But his smile, man, he had a good smile. To be honest, he looked like a nice guy. To totally be honest,
Maybe he was getting dental work done with that stolen money.
Yeah, I mean, and I told him, I was like, look, if you go look at the dumpster around the way, that's where your wallet and stuff is. He's not taking your credit cards. He doesn't care about your credit cards or your license. Like, you think he's some international, like, ID thief? He's going to sell it to terrorists? Like, this is 1996?
Yeah, no, there was no dark web then.
Yeah, I was like, this guy is just some dude who happened to be walking down, saw us, and went, I'm going to jack these people. He didn't plan it. It just, he saw us, and we just happened to be in the wrong place, wrong time. I know that's like, I mean, some people might say, well, that's a real weird way to look, like you don't let criminals be. You know what, man? I don't know his situation. Sometimes people do things out of necessity. He probably didn't, because he looked like a pretty laid back guy. He probably just did it because we were there. And he was just like, these folks look like they're easy marks. Which we were, because I was like, dude, I don't outrun bullets. I like comics, but I'm not a superhero.
Right.
So I would have just, and like that would have never happened where I live, because I lived there. No one would ever rob me where I live.
On your turf.
No, because they were like, oh, I know that dude. That dude lives right there. Even though I did get my car stereo stolen a few times.
You know, this was the weirdest thing. All right, I'm in high school, probably 17 years old. I'm a senior. I'm one of those kids that my birthday's in May, so I graduate when I'm 18, you know?
Yeah.
And I had like a cassette player in my car, which was, you know, a nice thing to have back in those days. And for one night, I actually knew I left my car unlocked with all my cassettes, and it's, you know, you had that little cassette player holder.
Yeah. The case.
And it's like I'm in my bedroom at night, about to go to bed, and I went, oh man, I forgot to lock my car.
And you didn't go out and do it.
No, and I was like, you know what? It's gonna be safe. I swear to God. The next morning I went out and the case was gone. That was it. Just, you know, no one tried to. They just grabbed the case and ran.
What was jacked up is when my first CD player was a Kenmore CD player. It was one of those pull-out boxes.
Right.
When they used to have those. No, it was detachable face. It was detachable face. Those are new. Yeah. And I had just bought it. That jerk, he stole my stereo and a bunch of my CDs, but that dude went through all my CDs, and I want to tell you, John, I must have had at least 100 in there, because I had this big, like, shoe bag. It was a bag for shoes.
Yep.
And it was full of CDs. He stole that and my radio, but left a CD on my dash, like the case and the CD. And it was Beastie Boys' License to Ill. He left that for me. Like, either he went, oh, dude, I can't steal this. This is dope. Or he went, this sucks. You're keeping this one. Like, I don't know which, but he left me that freaking. I still have it.
I tell you what, I know for a fact that whoever got my case of cassettes was probably disappointed, because my musical taste, as they are now, they're all over the spectrum.
Yeah.
So there's no continuity to it. Yeah. It's like,
he's like, who did I steal from? Is he 40 or is he? Whoa. I have no idea.
Yeah, it's like, what is in there? There's nothing, you know.
That's
but
it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, all that time I took to lock the door, and this time, and I even remembered it, and I was just too lazy to go out and lock the door, and that was the night.
You know, it's always the night. You know, when I got my car stolen, To be honest, I don't know if I 100% locked the door because
Right.
it was I come back from a con in Richmond. It was the Friday of the 3 day. It was a 3 day show, so it was the Friday of that 3 day show, and it was raining like heavily, like torrential, and I had to bring my my markers and the art inside because I was like, I left my prints and stuff in the car, but I had to take my markers and the art because I was like, I'm not leaving art in the car, and I have to take my markers because you can't leave markers out when it's hot.
Right.
Those alcohol markers will dry up.
I was going to say they will dry up so fast.
So I remember going, and what I did was I jumped out of the car and I had a jacket in the trunk and I covered my bag with it so the art wouldn't get wet. And then I grabbed my cases of markers and ran inside. Now, I don't 100% know if I locked it because it was a very hectic moment. It was also like 1 a.m.
Yeah.
So it was late. It was raining hard. So the one time I may not have locked my door is the one time my car got stolen.
Isn't that amazing?
Like they knew. Hey,
yeah, that's why I say it's amazing.
But yeah, some people might call it coincidence, and that's probably what it is. I tell you what, I call it a lesson learned. Because I lock my door every time. Not even kind of thinking about it. I consciously go, lock that door, someone's gonna steal your ride.
I have a Dodge Journey now, and I believe it's got the fob type thing.
Yeah.
I think if I leave the car and don't lock it after 45 seconds or 60 seconds, I think it will I got to check that.
I don't know. Will do it, but you have to set it to do that.
See, I'm not sure because it will not lock with the fob still in the car.
The trunk won't close with the fob in the trunk.
It's like really weird. If I leave my fob in the car, it will not let me shut the door. It bounces back.
Yes. Yeah,
and I love that.
Car is.
I love that.
I didn't know about the fob in the trunk thing, but I was at a funeral. And I was trying to close my trunk because I was getting a jacket out of the trunk for my wife.
Right.
And I didn't know my wife's purse was in the trunk, which had her fob to my car. Mm-hmm. And I kept trying to close the trunk. It would just open right back up. And I'm like, what the fuck? And I just keep closing it. And these people are waiting for me to walk by because they can't get by me to get to the funeral because the cars are lined up on a road that will not let anybody pass unless you walk through the grass, and the grass was super wet and people wearing nice shoes. They didn't want to walk in the grass. So I'm sitting there, bang, whoa, and it opens. It opens. Bang, and it must have went 10, 15 times. And I was like, what is going on? And my wife goes, my keys are in the trunk. And I was like, it does that? And she's like, I guess so. So she took her keys out. I put them in my pocket. Slam. Done. Closed. Yep. I was like, so now I show it to people who don't know that cars do that. And it freaks them out every time. I'm like, watch this. I throw my keys in and I bam. I'm like, what are you doing? And it just opens right up. One day that's going to bite me in the butt, though. I have a feeling.
Yeah, it won't work.
Yeah, and I'll have the doors locked because I'm so adamant about locking doors. Yeah, genius. These cars, man, genius. The engineers and the things they think of that you're like should be obvious and should have always been obvious, but no one's ever done. And then you're like, oh, they do that now? Yeah,
I'll tell you, I could not own a car that doesn't have the rear view, the
backup camera.
Yes, that's like.
Oh, now they're law. Like
I use that so much though.
Yeah. I could always parallel park really well because where I live is a one-way street. And I don't know. My wife and my son struggle. Sometimes
I don't even think parallel parking is on driver's test anymore.
Yeah, I parallel park all the time. I'm pretty good at it, man. I can fly right into a spot. I also used to drive to cities when I was doing IT, so I would be in Philly or Newark or
So you had to.
yeah, you just have to. And there's no time, and in Baltimore especially, you don't have time to like kind of think you're gonna park there. You just got to do it, and you can't dilly dally, or people start honking and cussing at you. Uh,
I know. That's the worst.
and Philly on Broad Street, I don't know. I got some guy cussed at me once because this car in front of me stopped in the middle of Broad Street, and I know they park in the middle of the road during the day, but this guy just stopped like right in traffic, got out of his car, didn't even put hazards on. He literally just stopped and walked into a dry cleaner. And then I was like, well, he's probably just going to grab it and come right out. I sat there for like 5 people are honking at me, flicking me off. Like, if they could have spit on me, they would have. And I was like, why are you mad at me? This is a guy who stopped. And then I told the guy at the hotel about it. He was like, well, you shouldn't have stopped, dude.
Drew, that is the kidney lady. My
Well,
sister. And
I'm going to go then.
okay, I'll be back. I just got to mute for a minute. Drew, enjoy your interview.
All right, have a good day.
All right, I'll see you later. People, I'll be back. Well, okay, missed call. All right, well. I guess I'll continue to ink on this Red Skull. A Red Skull. I was just reading this Marvel thing. Red Skull comes to Marvel Strike Force and more games. Okay, I don't need to know about that. And my sister was probably just going to annoy me with something. I'll see if she leaves a voicemail. So hopefully there's still some people holding in. Sound off if you are. And if you're leaving, if you want to leave, that's cool. If you can give the video a thumbs up, I would appreciate it. I'm trying to, well, I've got most of the, I think it needs a little more black up here in Doom's cowl. Another nice big bold wrinkle. Looked a little off balance here. And still trying to decide on a background with this one, so I may be close to calling this done and finish the background on the stream and then post this up. Now, for anybody that's still watching the broadcast, tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I guess it's Standard Time now. Who knows? I wish they would just figure out a time and stay with it. I'm starting a Patreon on April 1st. Basically, what I'm going to do it too is kind of go over the tiers. They're very simple. Nothing's too hard to understand, but I just want to kind of explain it. And basically, I'll be honest with you, it is to keep my studio open so that I can continue to stream. I have one more month here. I have the money to pay it. And then I'm looking at signing a lease again. But in the atmosphere that I find myself in right now. Hey, Little John, I'm glad you're still here. So with the Patreon, there's a $1, $3, and a $5 tier. And then there's I think it's 50, 60, 70 for 6x8s. And I've limited them. I don't want to get too far gone. But it'll save you $10 from my normal price. It will help. It will go to my studio rent. just so that I can keep this office, because without this office, I've spoken to the land person here, and they have agreed to possibly let me go on a month by month, because I've explained to them my situation, that with the conventions canceling, I am extremely worried about income. So we're just going to have to see about that. I truthfully don't know if I will have the funds to. And it's a shame Ron and I just painted in here and did some renovation at the end of the year when I had some off time. So your support is going to be very crucial in whether or not I can keep this place open and keep it. I had bigger ideas for streaming, and I was putting the plans into place when this whole coronavirus thing kind of hit, and it kind of stopped a lot of progress. So anyway, yeah, I'm just going to do a quick walkthrough, do a question and answer session. If anyone, is interested, drop in at that time. I'm just trying to see. I know I need to put some shading on Doom's nose here. I think I'm going to do that with a ruler, though. Don't want to make it. Well, it would be a nice black. Doesn't have to be exactly like Zex. It could be kind of a Kirby shine black where I cut it in half. Well, now it seems I have 11 people. Let me check. That could be, I don't know if this counts. Let's see. Nope, 5 here. Hey, do me a favor. If you are watching, can you give this video a thumbs up? I'm going to check my Twitter, see how many people might be following there. Got some notifications. Okay. All right, so I think if I go to the home, is it going to show me live? Not sure. It's a nice Alan Davis piece that Stelfreeze retweeted. Wow, James Jean, incredible. I want to be James Jean, people. To be honest with you, I want to create. That is beautiful. Those little mice, rats, whatever. I want to be an independent artist, but not there yet. Let me quit complaining. Not really complaining. I'm just laying it out. Okay, so it says 1 viewer, but I know that can't be right. Although it could be. Let's refresh. Yeah, so refresh my this. Hey, Mike Herring. Thank you for the thumbs up. I do appreciate it. So I know that a lot of people have started streaming, so there's, a ton of options out there now, whereas before nobody was interested in it. Well, a few of us, I started because I was interested in sharing my work, getting to know some people. And I can say that so far it's been nice. And I'd like to continue because I've got some ideas that hopefully will come to fruition. Some will be educational, and some will just be fun. Like having Drew on is a lot of fun. His stories are just fantastic. The way he tells them, I think, is wonderful. He has a good outlook on things. I enjoy Drew a lot. Okay, so I think for now, still deciding what's going to go in the background of this. I don't know if I'm going to do this diagonal or a straight up type of deal. Going to have to think about that for a while. And I'm probably going to go in, since this is the Battle Worn Doom, and add a few, this type of thing. There'll be a few more. But since my wife called and seems to be having trouble with getting I thought we had my son into the right area, but apparently his teacher is not seeing his finished work. Perhaps I should attend to that. This is part of the Corona thing that makes life a little tough. All right, that should work for now. So yeah, I think how long have I been streaming here? 2 hours, 47 minutes. Excuse me. Perhaps next time you see this, it will be completed and posted on Twitter. Maybe I will also post it on my a nice high-res scan on my Patreon for Patreon members to have a nice high-res look at it. Anyway, thanks everybody for stopping in today. I might stream again tomorrow. It's kind of one day at a time. Well, I know I will stream at 2 o'clock, like I said, to go over my Patreon. Yeah, I know, Lloyd. It's funny. My Twitter always says 1, and maybe that's just me. I don't know. I have no idea how it works. But yeah, I think I need to just set this aside, finalize it, ink it, and then you all will see the finish. You've basically, we basically got it done here for the most part. A Battle Damage Doom, an homage to Secret Wars 10 cover by Mike Zeck. I just need a little background element. And other than that, then put a signature on it and send it off to the person who it's going to and hope they enjoy it. So if I don't see you again in the morning, I will see you at 2, hopefully. Stop by. I'm going to go through my Patreon, and I hope that some of you all can throw a buck or two my way to support. I know that it's a hard time for everybody. And like I said, basically the Patreon is to keep my studio up and running, paying the rent, or at least covering most of it, because finances right now are very tough. So having said that, I want y'all to have a good day. Stay safe. If you're quarantined, I hope you don't have to deal with it much longer. I wish they would quarantine my county so we can get it over with, but Florida's kind of messed up. Thank you, AG. So yeah, I will talk to you all later. I'm going to say goodbye now, and look for a stream or two tomorrow. Maybe I'll get Drew back on in the morning. All right, everybody. Take care. Have a good day. Like I said, stay safe and make the best of it as you can. And I hope that those of you who tuned in got some enjoyment and some fun out of watching Drew and I work today. See ya.